Good morning, guys. This is your lesson. We're solving for x again, continuing with our algebra where we are using more detailed angles. Now we have two parallel lines, and this is your transversal right here. So we have to solve for x. So the first thing from yesterday's lesson is to notice that this angle here corresponds with this angle here, which means it equals. Now, if you put that 5x minus 15 with that angle, now you have vertical angles here. So what I'm going to do, vertical angles are equal to each other, so I'm going to take my 5x minus 15 and set it equal to 80 and just solve for x like we have been. So we'll add 15 to both sides. I'm going to have 5x equals 95, divide by 5, and x is going to equal 19. Again, they might be asking for x, which they are here, but also you can check yourself by plugging 19 in for x. So let's do that and see what happens. And if you solve that, that's going to be 95 minus 15, which is 80. So that 80 works out right there with the vertical angles. So those angles are equal to each other. So the first thing we did is said this is corresponding, or you could say this is corresponding, the 80 right here. Vertical angles, our knowledge of vertical angles means they're equal. So we just set them equal to each other, solve for x, which is what the question's asking for. But then I checked myself here. And I got 80, got 80, and those vertical angles, those 80s equal each other. So that's situation number one. Let's go to number two. Let's look at our angles. Again, we're solving for x. We have two parallel lines. There's your transversal. Now here I have x plus 25, and then here I have 55. Let's take a look at our angles. If I took this line right here and laid it on top of the m, these angles would be corresponding. So what do we know about corresponding? We're going to take both of our expressions again, and we're going to set them equal to each other. So I have an x plus 25, and then I have a 55, x plus 25, 55, setting them equal to each other. This looks like an easy one to solve because it's one step. X equals 30. How did I get 30? Right here. So I'm going to go ahead and check myself. We're going to check. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to take the 30 and plug it back into x. So 30 plus 25, and that does equal 55. So that checks out. So all I did here, these are corresponding angles. If I took L and placed it over M, these would be the same. And so I set it up this way where they're equal to each other, solved that one step, and then plugged it in to check myself, and it works out, 55s. Okay, and then that 55 would be right there, and that works out. They're both equal. Okay, so let's go to the back page. Question 3, again, we're solving for x. Let's take a look at our angles. I have a 75 here. I have a 4x minus 9 there. If you look at your angles, I'll take L again. That 75 is going to be here. So again, going back to our straight line, that's a 180 from last chapter. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to take the 4x minus 9. We're not going to set it equal to each other because that 75 is here. These two angles aren't equal. But I'm going to take both of them and set them equal to 180. Why 180? Here's your straight line again. Even though it's slanted upward, it's still straight. So I took both expressions, set them equal to 80. So let's combine our terms. 75 minus 9 is still a positive 66. Now I'm down to a two-step. Subtract 66. 4x equals, we have to solve this part right here. So that's going to be 114. Then I'm going to divide by 4. Now this one's going to give us a decimal. Is that wrong? Absolutely not. You can have a decimal. This is 28.5 for x. Now, let's see what happens and make sure it works out. I'm going to plug this back in for this x right here. Minus 9. And I get 105 from here. Minus 9. Oh, that equals 105. I'm sorry. Now, I'm going to take the 105 and add it. This is what I was going to do. Add it to the 75. 105, 75 right here. And that should equal, and does equal, 180. So it checks out. A little different this time. We're not setting them equal to each other. If I lay this L over this M, that 75 is going to be there, corresponding. And then these two angles are next to each other, so you got to set them equal to 180, not equal to themselves. Okay, so that one was a little bit different. Let's do the last one. Question 4, we're also solving for x. Let me move it up a little bit. So let's take a look at our angles. This angle and this angle. If I lay L on top of over M, that 3x is going to be there. So you notice these are vertical now. So again, I'm going to set them equal to each other. Okay, let's go over that again. L over M, this angle's going to be here, corresponding. Now they're vertical, setting them equal. So let's solve it. I'm going to take my lower number. This looks like it's going to work out great because I've got x over here. And then there's nothing to cancel out with the 20. So there's my x. Let's see if it checks out. I'm going to plug it in. I got two x's now. I'm going to plug it in for both. 3 times 20, which is here, is 60. And then I'm going to plug it in here. 2 times 20 plus 20, that's 40, plus 20 is 60. So that checks out. Both angles are 60, so our x is correct. All right, so there's how you solve angles with parallel lines in a transversal. We went through a bunch of all different examples. So there's your notes for this lesson.